Hey everyone. Yeah, it's about almost 6 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. on this TGIF, the Friday before Christmas. And the official release date, well, actually, yesterday evening, Thursday evening, December 19th, was the official, release of Sonic 3. But as promoted today was the official release, all the way around. And I guarantee you when you go online, you will see that there are multiple showings. There's like 2 or 3 screens being utilized to showcase Sonic. And sometimes those screens are used for the 2D, the 3D, the 4DX, you name it. Or even the IMAX for, in some cases. But I wanted to come on here because today I decided to go out and do some Christmas shopping because I had some money, in my account. Basically, I had my check from last week, my work check from last week, deposited in on Wednesday, and then I had my last check for where I was working at for the season again, second time, within a year, I worked at the same place, for the season. I had that check deposited. So I had enough, even after paying, my part of the cable bill, I had enough to basically go out and do some Christmas shopping. And I still have money left over, and I possibly have some money coming in to the UE. And then, of course, what YouTube's going to, deposit next month, with, the content I've been providing. But speaking of content, while I was out, I also decided to go and see Sonic 3. I decided to, take the opportunity to go see the third Sonic movie. And I'm going to tell you honestly, it was tremendous. It was tremendous. There's no doubt about it. Now, I will say this, though. Just like a lot of movies, I've had the opportunity to try to go, I've had the opportunity to see in the theaters and all that beforehand. Just like a lot of movies, like it, apparently what you don't want to be known gets known. You know what I'm saying? In other words, spoilers get leaked out a lot sooner than they should. And trust me when I say, I went to DeviantArt.com, where I have an account. And the first page you get is the main menu. It's the main menu with the recommendations outside of the deviants that you follow and watch. Well, DeviantArt on its main menu recommendation page had a couple of pictures uploaded from people that went and saw an early screening of the movie. These were kind of like fan events, premiere events, that were all over the place. And, what happened is these people ended up uploading images of the post-credit scene, because there's 2 credit scenes in this. Well, a mid-credit and a post-credit. And a lot of people uploaded the mid-credit scene, at least one image from the mid-credit scene. And that was of a certain character that everybody was hoping for, and we finally got said character. Now, I am going to say that the movie definitely lived up to the hype. There's no doubt. It definitely lived up to the hype. I mean, I'll put it this way. They took a lot of characteristics that were, known to be part of other characters in the original Sonic Adventure, or original Sonic Adventure 2, I should say, and they mixed them around. They implemented them elsewhere, within different characters. Now, we know Shadow wanted revenge because of Maria's death. We know that. But what's crazy is that, they made, because the way they made it out is that Shadow was going to be the one that's like, hey, I want everybody just dead because Maria's gone, right? That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. But what happens is it turns out that Gerald Robotnik, who is in the film, played by Jim Carrey as well, Gerald Robotnik is a lot more insane than he turns out to be, even to the shock of his grandson Ivo, who again is played by Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, thanks to visual effects, great visual effects, played both roles. He played Ivo Robotnik and he played Gerald. And Gerald basically was going to destroy the world. He wasn't going to, like damage it and all that, because the way it sounds, the way it sounds to me when, while watching the film, and I do apologize for that notification there. That is a text message that just came in. I do apologize. But like I was saying, hold on for a sec. I got distracted there for a second with the text. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Got a little incoming message there. And I do apologize if you hear a lot of those throughout this. I'm recording this on my phone. But as I was saying, basically, the way they made, Shadow out in the previews and everything, it's like he wanted revenge for what happened to Maria. But it also, when you watch the film, it feels like all he wanted to do was, not destroy the world, but he wanted to give it, a big enough loss that, in a way, it would understand how he feels. Like, hey, I took this away from you. Now you know how I feel when you took Maria away. That's basically the gist of it. He had no idea, though, that the man that helped create him and, I guess you could say raise him alongside Maria, Joe Robotnik, he wanted more than that. He didn't want to damage, the earth to the point that, hey, now you know how we feel. We took this away from you. Now you know how we feel. No, what he wanted was the world gone, completely destroyed. And it took basically, it took Ivo Robotnik, again, played by Jim Carrey because he does both parts, to realize that, hey, I want to conquer the world. I don't want to destroy it. That's not what I was thinking of. Or that's not what I agreed to. So basically, yeah, they took a lot of elements, from different characters and gave them to other characters to kind of do this loose adaptation of SA2, including the person that gets through the Shadow. Because instead of it being like Chris Thorndike in the Sonic X adaptation or Amy Rose in the original game, instead it turns out to be Sonic. Because basically Sonic, bit of spoilers, goes super. He goes super, if you will, and he essentially, overpowers Shadow to the point that it's like he's about to lay into him, take him out, until he realizes he's given into revenge as well. Because in the movie, bit of spoilers, Shadow nearly fatally injures Tom, the Donut Lord, James Marsden's character, nearly fatally injures him. He doesn't kill him, but he almost does. And Sonic wants revenge for that, because now this would almost be like a second parental figure taken away from him, but he's able to kind of like calm himself down and get through to Shadow. Basically tell him, look, just because Maria's gone, it doesn't mean you stop loving her. It doesn't mean that love you had for her and she had for you dies. You move on. You basically do what you have to, with the love she gave you and the love you gave her. Basically something to that extent. Basically he gets through to him with a similar speech, not the same, but similar kind of speech that Amy and Chris give to him in the games and in the Sonic X adaptation. And Shadow is able to kind of see, that Sonic is sincere and apologizes because he notices, because he's reminded of everything Sonic did selflessly. When encountering him and realizing, okay, maybe, like, not maybe, but he's realizing, like, okay, you're right, I don't know why. I said, basically he's admitting that, he let his anger, this anger and this vengeance, this anger he had get, twisted in the wrong way. Like he wanted people to pay for what happened to Maria, but not in the sense that, I guess he's now realizing Gerald had in mind. But overall, the film is a terrific film. There's no doubt about it. I am highly recommending you go see it. But again, getting back to what I said earlier, You can go all over the internet, now, and it seems like you cannot go anywhere. YouTube, Rumble, Dailymotion, Twitter, aka X, Facebook, DeviantArt, like I mentioned, Ink Money. You cannot go anywhere, and somebody has not mentioned, if not posted, an image, if not a GIF, if not a video of the mid credits and the post credits. And bit of spoilers here, and I will try to timestamp this, so if you don't want to listen to this part of the video, you can, move to the next chapter. But bit of spoilers. In the mid-credit scene, Sonic has won another race against Knuckles and Tails, but this time around he gets so into it, he overshoots, I should say, the finish line, and he ends up not, not in green. What is it? Green. I can't even think of the name right now. Hold on. It's Green Valley or something like that. Sorry, I almost had a brain fart. But basically, Green Hill Zone. That's what it's called. Green Hills, if you will. He ended up overshooting the target, if you will, the finishing line, and instead of ending up in first there, or somewhere there in Green Hills, on the outskirts, that is, he ends up in New York City, or at least on the in a park area or wildlife area of New York City. And again, this is after, of course, they're able to save the day. They see that Tom, James Marsden's character, is going to pull through. He's going to be fine and everything. So, to celebrate that they're now, that they're still a family and everything's going to be okay. Basically, they decide to, again, have a race, across the forest, outside of Green Hills. And basically, like I said, Sonic ends up overshooting, his destination, the finish line, and ends up, for some reason, in New York City, or at least on the outskirts of New York. And it's here in this mid-credit scene, and again, spoilers, if you don't want to hear them, again, I'll put some timestamps. I'll put timestamps of what I'm going to be talking about in this video, audio video, so you can choose whether or not you want to go full through with this, or you just want to skip to the next subject I'll be talking about. But here, basically, in this mid-credit scene, after Sonic sees that he's overshot the finish line, we see a bit of lightning strike down on the ground, and we see that it's Metal Sonic. Yes, that's right. Metal Sonic shows up, and he aims his laser cannon. He aims his laser gun or whatever it is at Sonic, or his laser fist, the cannon, whatever, at Sonic. And then you see basically this big old light, big old explosion happen, because it pulls back and you see this big old explosion in the forest. And everything is just burnt and everything. The sign saying "Welcome to New York City" is burnt and everything. But Sonic is able to get out of the way because he sensed it. And he basically, being Sonic, says, hey, when you're trying to, he basically tells them, hey, if you're trying to hit the fastest thing in the universe, kind of a play on fastest thing alive, if you're going to do this, if you're going to try to hit, try to target the fastest thing in the universe, or fastest person in the universe, again, play on fastest thing alive, I think. And then he ends up socking Metal. He said, and then after socking Metal, he's like, you better not miss. And he socks, he hits Metal so hard that Metal's head turns around and his body parts turn around, which of course go in reverse and everything. And then Sonic sees this. Obviously, he's freaked out, like, whoa, this is, it's like, whoa, okay. Didn't see that coming. And then he tries to say, look, I like the cosplay, but there are a few things you got wrong. And he says, I can't blame you for not being able to copy perfection. But as he says that, all of a sudden you see all these other red lights, red eye irises, if you will, red eye irises, start to, glow and everything. And then out comes a whole bunch of metals. Now, some have assumed, based on the fact that they didn't get based on the fact that the color seems to be a little different, that we might be going to the Metal Rex, or Metallics story arc, or whatever it is, whatever they call it, the Metallics story arc or something. And it's a bunch of metals along with the OG metal. And Sonic's like, okay, that's a new trick. And then all of a sudden, as all these metals are launching into the air, they're kind of, doing the spin thing with their whatever it is, the wind blade thing in their belly, the whatever. As soon as they lift into the air, they launch into the air to attack Sonic. All of a sudden, you see this. All of a sudden, you hear this zoom, boom, 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 boom. This pink glow, this pink flash, if you will, just suddenly just come out of nowhere, and you see this metal hammer. That's right, metal hammer bashing all these metal Sonics, and then you see the wielder of the hammer grab it as it comes back to them, and they land right on top of the other metal Sonic, the OG one, which kind of blows Sonic back a little bit. And as he looks up and he sees this cloaked figure, because yes, when we see the figure for the first time, as the hammer's coming back to them, they're like right they're in midair, the moon, in the state that it's in now, and it's right behind them, and they're wearing a cloak, right? They're wearing a hood and a cloak, and they end up, like I say, grabbing the hammer after it smashes all the other metal Sonics and comes back to them. And they land on top of one of the metal Sonics, probably the one that attacked Sonic first, the OG one. And again, it pushes Sonic back just a bit. Then when he looks up and he sees this cloaked figure, he's like, "Whoa!" Who are you? And then, the cloaked figure, puts her hammer over their shoulder, grabs the hood to the cloak, pulls back, and we see that it's, yes, Amy Rose. That's right, Amy Rose has debuted. Not speaking though, but she's debuted. But that's not the only scene we got. I mean, for anybody that knows the whole Shadow thing, post Sonic Adventure 2, the post-credit scene kind of gives you that answer. And that answer is that unlike Robotnik, Ivo Robotnik, Shadow does survive, because we see this big old crater, and we see this inhibitor ring in the middle of the crater, and we see Shadow walk up to it, grab it, and walk off. And there you go. Pretty much Sonic 4 and whatever they have planned for Shadow, movie or series rise, the seeds have been planted. And what's cool about this is they've already gone on record and said that Sonic 4 is already in the works. It's already in development with a early 2027, I'm assuming early spring, or maybe, spring, mid-spring, early summer release in 2027. That's basically what they've announced. And ironically, they announced it basically around the release, the official release of this movie. Because obviously they have plans, to build to this fourth film in 2027. Again, the schedule as of right now, it could change. The scheduled release as of right now, or estimated release as of right now, is early 2027, which in my opinion means spring, maybe early summer 2027, which is, if I was to estimate, theorize, would be about mid-spring, early summer. That's what I'm looking at. And yeah, they already got that in the works. And obviously Amy Rose, or Amy, she's going to play a big role in it. Shadow is going to play a big role. Rouge is going to show up in the movie, obviously, maybe even before then, because again, there is discussion, that they want to do. There is discussion that they want to do a Shadow movie or a Shadow, limited series like they did with Knuckles. And if they do a limited series, it's going to be on Paramount Plus. And if they do a movie, it might be a Paramount Plus exclusive. I'm just saying. But whatever they do is going to tie into Sonic 4. That's what the plans is. And I've got a feeling that with one of these, directions they go with Shadow, whether it's a limited series or a movie, that's when Rouge will show up. Rouge will show up in one of those, spin-offs, if you will. And then that's how we'll get to see her almost as a regular, like, instead of like, oh, she's gonna pull a an Amy Rose or a Tails or a Shadow and just show up at the end of the film. No, she's going to show up. She's going to show up. I feel. She's going to show up. I feel. At the during this whole Shadow limited series movie, whatever they got planned for him going forward. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, if she doesn't and she just shows up in Sonic 4, I think they're going to do that to kind of play homage, pay homage or play off the fact that Knuckles did the same thing. Because we didn't know Knuckles was going to be in Sonic 2. All we thought was, okay, it's going to be Tails. We had no idea we were going to get Knuckles. So they might do that. They might go that route by saying, hey, we're going to have Rouge, do what Knuckles did and just show up in the fourth film and we'll give a reason or something like that. So I'm looking forward to the fourth film either way because you got Amy. Obviously, you're going to get Rouge in it. How she shows up, it's going to be up to them. But Jeff Fowler obviously has a plan. He has a plan, and a purpose for all this happening in the way that it is. And I think we also now have to realize that what's going on here is Jeff Fowler is going the multiverse route. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he's going to, make Sonic into a multiverse saga. No. What I'm saying is that basically he's creating another multiverse version of the Sonic franchise. That's right. He's basically created their own little world, different from Archie, different from the games, different from the animes, different from IDW. He's giving them their own little world. That's what he's doing. And this world is kind of a mixture of all the Sonic lore, that we've seen throughout the past, what has it been like, 31 years, 31 years now. So that's what we're getting. We're getting a new universe in the Sonic multiverse or multi-Sonic verse. We're getting a new universe that's a mixture of all the elements that we know about Sonic. That's what we're getting. That's what we're getting here from Jeff Fowler. And I think that's cool. The only question now is how do you explain Amy Rose showing up? Like, is there a connection between her and Sonic from when, Sonic was a kid back on his planet? Is there a connection between her and Tails? Maybe, because Tails didn't come back with Sonic when he was supposed to, that she was sent after him. Who knows? We don't know. Hopefully we'll get some answers going forward. But, obviously more characters are going to get introduced. Like I said, Rouge is obviously the next one for the fourth film. Either it's within the fourth film, a la what Knuckles did in Sonic 2, or it's, part of the Shadow, deal, the Shadow project they got planned for, in between because again, the movie is set for 2027. So it's going to be here before you know it, but it's still a long ways away. We still have next year and 2026 to get through. So whatever they have planned and set for 2025 and 2026 to get us to that moment in 2027, obviously it's going to involve Shadow and it might involve Rouge, but we'll see. We shall see. Now, again, the question is going to be, how do they explain Amy being here? That's going to be the big question. And maybe Rouge comes in and she's the explanation. We will find out. We shall see. But obviously, again, what we're getting here is just another new Sonic world, another new Sonic verse that's, different from everybody else, but it has all the elements of different Sonic interpretations throughout the existence of the franchise. And that's cool. Will Jeff Fowler eventually bring us, Blaze the Cat and Silver? Oh, obviously, that's a no-brainer. That's probably being saved for at least towards the end of this next trilogy of films. Because this first trilogy was kind of like, okay, here we are setting up, the whole, I guess you could say this whole first trilogy was basically, a loose adaptation of the original Sonic game all the way up to Sonic Adventure 2. That's what it was. Essentially, it was, its own interpretation of the first Sonic game up to Sonic Adventure 2. And now we're getting into territory with the next trilogy of films where I think it's going to be post Sonic Adventure 2, and we're going to get into I guess you could say, the Sonic Heroes kind of era, if you will, the Sonic Heroes kind of era for the characters and such. But we'll see. Maybe this trilogy, maybe doing the trilogy this way might have opened the door for them to say, hey, now we can be a little bit more looser. We can add more characters in, some that are not game characters. That might be something that happens because, again, a lot of people want to see the Freedom Fighters. A lot of people want to see Tangled. They want to see Kit. They want to see Surge. They want to see Whisper. They want to see Sally. As I mentioned, the Freedom Fighters, Sally and Bunny and Roller and all them. And I don't blame them. So maybe doing this first trilogy of films is a way to get there. We'll see. We shall see. But I thought overall the movie was great, and I do highly recommend you watch it. I really do. But that's not the only Sonic thing that happened that was big, this week. Another thing that happened was we had the release of the 75th issue of IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog comic, and the conclusion of the whole, I guess you could say, restoration arc hostile takeover story involving the villain, the shrewd business villain of Clutch, trying to take control or take down Restoration HQ because it's basically competition to his business, and what they do is basically the same thing he does, but they do it for free. And he charges an arm and a leg or something. Anyway, the conclusion happened, and I like the fact that when I look over this entire story arc, if there's one thing I do like about it, I do like the fact that we had massive character development and growth for Tangled, Lanolin, and Jewel. I like that. And Whisper had it too. But I do like the fact that Lanolin, Jewel, and Tangled had some growth here. And the reason I say that is the fact that Tangled is the one that basically is basically learning to balance out having fun and taking things seriously. She's also the kind that's telling Lanolin, look, we all make mistakes, and everything when we're new at something. I've made them. But hey, we learn from them. And oh, by the way, I'm still angry with you for assuming something that wasn't true. We'll deal with that later. So I like that. And I like that Lanolin, realizes, okay, maybe she's been a little too assertive, been, taking on too much of a leadership role that she has yet to earn. And she's even acknowledging that by saying, hey, if you don't want me part of the team anymore, I understand. I'll step down. But again, that's when Tangled steps in and says, no, that's good. No, we want you here. We want you a part of the team. We're just not happy with the fact that you assumed something that wasn't true yet, and we'll deal with that later. So I like how Lanolin is growing a little bit, and she's even acknowledging, look, I still have a lot to learn. And if you want me to stay here, I'll learn. I'll learn from you guys and everything, because Lanolin was fooled. She was fooled by the fact that the guy that wanted to be part of the team, and everything, the octopus guy, I can't think of his name right now, was basically, in disguise. He was basically impersonating somebody that wasn't real, essentially. Duo, basically Duo, if you will. He was impersonating this Duo character. And obviously, she's learning. Hey, I can't take the side of somebody that's new and everything and just came out of nowhere, and we don't know much about them. I need to, be better at that kind of deal. So I like that. And Jewel, I like as well, getting some development, because not only is she kind of fooled into letting Clutch, be partners with her in Restoration, but she's also realizing that, hey, you're still going to be a great leader for Restoration HQ, but you have to realize, and again, point goes to Tangled here, because she wakes her up and realizes, hey, Restoration HQ can always be rebuilt. The real Restoration HQ is those people. Those people down there. That's the real Restoration HQ. And you need to lead them. So I like that. That's a good character growth moment for Tangled and Jewel, because Jewel then realizes, yeah, Tangled, you're right. if I'm going to be leader, I got to realize there's more to Restoration HQ than just a building and everything. So I like that after that, she kind of takes charge. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool and everything. So anyway, that's a great character moment and everything. We do get some growth, some character developments with our main characters, there's no doubt. And we also get some character growth with Surge and Kit. I mean, Surge is still going to be the anti-Sonic and everything in a sense, but now she's got this honor bestowed on her. Because she tells Sonic, look, man, the next time, because she basically tells him in this issue, hey, we may have worked together, but we're not friends. And what I want is just a personal opportunity to take you down, myself, but I want to do it fair and square. So I like the fact that her growth is she has honor instilled in her, because I think one of the things that made her realize, hey, you can still be you, but you can have some honor, is she had some young kids actually thanking her and looking up to her. And she was cool with that. It made her happy. It made her realize, look, I can be myself still, but I can also do it with honor. I can have some honor in everything. And that's why when she tells Sonic that when they meet next time, to go one-on-one, that she wants to do it fair and square. She wants to see whether or not she is on the level of the person she was cloned from. So I like that. I do like that character growth for her. And I also like that Eggman, once again, is taking out a second-tier villain in Clutch, just like he did with Starline, by basically, because he comes in with this robot that's like, I wouldn't say it's egg robot, but some kind of an egg battle bot that a mech suit, if you will. And he's basically telling Sonic, hey, you guys are taking too long. What was I supposed to do? Wait, keep waiting? So he basically took action. And once again, just like with Starline, he takes Clutch and he's like, dude, stay away from my stuff. Because apparently we find out that Clutch, with his business, has been using a lot of Robotnik's salvage, if you will, or junk and everything that, Robotnik, obviously would throw out as salvage for his own doings. That's what he's been doing. It's, Robotnik, Eggman, he's not happy with it. And he's like, he grabs him. There's this one panel where he grabs, Clutch, and he's like, stay away from my stuff. And, tosses him aside. So we don't know if Clutch is dead or not. I'm assuming he isn't. I'm assuming he escaped. And my assumption is the next couple of issues, that start the new year, are going to essentially, they're going to essentially wrap up what's going on with Clutch and build something new with Eggman back in that driver's seat of, hey, I'm now your antagonist again. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I did like it, and great character growth for a lot of the characters that needed it in some people's eyes, like Tango, Whisper to an extent, Lanolin, big time, Jewel in a way, Surge and Kit, just great moments, and I highly recommend checking it out. I do. If you can't get a physical copy, they do have the comic here on the YT. So you can check it out there if you want to as well. But anyway, though, guys. Anyway, that's going to about do it for this little Sonic News discussion audio video podcast. Let me know what your thoughts are. Again, timestamps will be included. So hopefully, if you don't want to, if you don't feel like, hey, I want to get spoiled, you can just skip to where I'm talking about the comics, 75th issue. But let me know what your thoughts are on everything I had to mention. If you did listen through and you're okay with spoilers, because again, you go all over the place and you're going to find spoilers, period, no matter what, whether you want them or not. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, live chat during the premiere if you want to. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere, as well as check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And check me out at devernart.com, BVW1979. But guys, that's all I'm going to say on the third Sonic movie and on the 75th issue for IDW Sonic. Give me your thoughts down below and in the live chat if you want to, and I am out.